Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to the channel. My name is Featherex and today we'll finish our journey throughout Route 1, ending with 3 new Pokémon lines. Since in all of the previous videos I've only presented you Pokémon that had ended up being dual type, I decided that today I will show you only Pokémon that are monotypes, to balance things out. Now, before starting, as usual, I have to thank my friends that help me with all my Pokémon content, Cyber and Blubcold. You can find their social down in the description, as well as the link to my Instagram, so you can discover more of the Ivris region, since most of the dex is already posted there. With all the preamble out the way, let's begin. Okay, let's start off with finishing the final tradition of Route 1, that being the Pika-clone. Since Gen 3, every region has had a Pokémon that in some way resembled the most famous Pokémon of the franchise, acting as a sort of mascot for the current region. For this particular trope, there are two main aspects to keep in mind when making a Pika-clone. 1. It needs to be a primary electric type, although the secondary type can be whatever. 2. It needs to be some sort of small mammal. Originally, it would have been 3 things to keep in mind, since before Gen 9, none of the Pika-clones ever evolved, but thanks to Pomi, we do have a bit more freedom. With all that being said, let's start designing. I had quite a few options when I researched ideas for a small mammal that could fit a Pika-clone, like a raccoon or a squirrel, but eventually I ended up just choosing a regular mouse, specifically the quercino, a species of mice that can be found all throughout Europe. The quercino is a small mouse that will sometimes invade the fruit farms, not even to eat the fruit there, but just to taste it. This will essentially ruin the entire harvest. I also decided to base them off of a very important Italian invention, that being the microchip. Naturally, finding a way to fuse a mouse with a microchip wasn't very easy, so in the end I went with what was the most simple idea I had, mimicking the design of a motherboard and turning it into a sort of a fur pattern. I was debating for a while on whether or not to make this guy a single stage or give it multiple evolution, although the answer to me was fairly simple. While typically I believe evolution are what make Pokémon interesting, most of the times, in the end I decided to go with a single stage, since I don't have a single one in the dex at the moment. So, let me present to you Chipanki, the electric mouse Pokémon, a pure electric type. Chipanki are known throughout Ivris to be little thieves that invade farms to try and steal as much food as they can. While traveling in packs, they somehow have an innate sense of where every member of the group is at all times. This phenomenon is still a mystery to modern science, but it is speculated that they may have some sort of hive mind. Their pack tactics are so effective that farmers of Ivris typically have to produce more food on average than what they really needed, in order to not lose their crops. Unfortunately, there are times where some Chipanki will simply taste food they leave out for seemingly no reason, ruining an entire harvest. Next up, we have 2 lines that, while not specifically tropes for Route 1, are creatures you can find within most regions. Dogs. Here's a little pop quiz for all of you. Do you know why Paldea had 3 different lines of Pokémon based on dogs? Well, simple. Spain, the basis behind Paldea, is one of the most dog-friendly places in the world, being ranked in around 8th place on the list of countries within the most original dog species found there. Now, here's another question. Do you know which country is in first place? That's right, Italy. So expect Ivris to have a few more doggos running around in the future. Now, back on the topic. These two lines are actually quite personal to me, as they'll both represent dogs of mine. So everything you're about to see holds a special place in my heart. With all that said, let's begin. So, the base stage of this first line is based on one of the most famous species of dogs that ever originated from Italy, that being the Lagotto romagnolo, a small species of dog that was specifically bred to search for truffles and mushrooms. Eventually, more inspirations come into play, but this little guy is honestly quite simple. I knew right off the bat I wanted them to be very friendly and playful, kind of like Grievard or Hisuian Growlithe. And personally, I think this design portrays that personality perfectly. So, let me present to you Hipog, this sheep-dog Pokémon, a pure ground type. This Pokémon is practically a necessity for farmers here in Ivris, as well as many places around the world. Hipogs are typically brought onto farms to help protect Pokémon such as Wooloo and Marips from various predators that may try to get them. While it is very playful and loving, it also takes its job as a guard dog extremely seriously. No matter the size and strength of the opponent, Hipog will always be there to protect the ones it loves. Now, I wanted to make sure the evolution still gave off an aura of friendliness, but it also needed to feel strong and kinda lazy, since this is where the other inspiration I talked about earlier come into play. One of which is the Napolitan Shepherd, a big and strong type of dog that protects herds of sheep from predators. I also decided to take the term "a wolf in sheep's clothing" and flip it on its head, where now the wolf is trying to blend in with them for their own protection and not to eat them. Finally, I wanted to base this line on my dog, Pongo. Pongo was a mix between a Lagotto and another dog species we didn't know about. And yes, unfortunately I do mean was. Pongo passed away from old age and sickness 1 year ago. Even when originally made this line, Pongo was still with me. So to honor my companion, I knew this line would have been in my rework of Ivris, so that everyone could know a bit of my friend that was with me for so much of my life. I hope I've been able to represent everything that made Pongo special to me, and I hope you all love this line as much as I do. Here is the lovable Streepog, the sheepdog Pokémon, also a pure ground type. Streepog are some of the kindest Pokémon in all of Ivris. They're quick to play with both humans and Pokémon all day, every day. It's said that their bite is so powerful that they can chomp clean through metal, although it's very rare for one to see such a feat, as Streepog are typically gentle giants. but if you dare to art once close to it, they will do everything in their power to protect them. Now, on a bit of a lighter tone, let's end this video with a final Pokémon of Route 1. While it is just a single stage, I decided to give this Pokémon two different forms, to spice things up a little. This Pokémon is based on my other dog, named Yolanda, a female Jack Russell Terrier. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but Jack Russells were actually bred for hunting, specifically hunting foxes. Thanks to that, these dogs have a powerful bite and will pretty much never let go once they've gotten their teeth into something. However, not all of their hunts were so vicious. Just like Lagotos, they also were used to find truffles and other such plants. Since Jack Russells are so small and cute looking, it's a common mistake for people to believe that they are easy to take care of a simple house pet. Let me tell you from my personal experience, that is most certainly not the case. I swear, sometimes it feels like this dog is a little demon in disguise. I even seen a video of a Jack Russell trying to scare away an elephant. So, needless to say, they can be pretty dangerous. And with that, I decided to give them two forms. One that's small and cute, while the other one is feral and dangerous. Starting with the companion form, I did what I've done for admittedly most of the Pokémon here in Route 1, which is drawing a Jack Russell in the Pokémon style. However, this time I did try to add in a few things of note from my own dog. You see, Yolanda is deaf, and has ever been since she was a puppy, which we discover about 2 or 3 months after adopting her. At the time they asked my parents if we wanted to change her out of another one, but since she had already been with us for some time, we had immediately fallen in love with her and kept her anyway. Although naturally, having a dog that cannot hear your calls makes her pretty hard to find sometimes. So we decided to add a little bell to her collar, so that whenever she moves, we know where she is. It's not like he would annoy her or anything, since she can't exactly hear it in the first place. So that little sphere on Classel neck is supposed to be representative of that. Now, the other form naturally needed to represent the strength and clearly demonic nature of this dog. Although instead of making some big intimidating wolf, I decided to go in a more mythical direction with a werewolf, to sort of hint towards how humans specifically have influenced it to be an expert hunter. It's like a reverse werewolf, in a way, a cute innocent dog being turned by a human into a humanoid killing machine. For this design I had to keep most of the important elements from the companion form in here, but I also wanted to emphasize its strength by making the figure way more top-heavy than before, with bigger arms and sharper claws. To convey the idea of overwhelming power even more, I decided to change the collar path around its neck to look more broken and separated, giving the vibe that it's broken free from its shackles and lost control. I also added in a lot of magenta color around the design, to not only make it look more unique, but to help give off the feeling of rage, fury and frenzy, as it so often does, in my opinion. So, here comes Glassel companion form, the hunter Pokémon, a pure fighting type. This Pokémon was specifically bred long ago to have an incredible sense of smell. That's why it can help trainers find all sorts of useful and strange items. This has led to it being able to track down any person or Pokémon with ease once getting even a slight whiff of their scent from something they owe. Despite being so dedicated to its job, they are still quite friendly creatures when you get to know them. Glassel has a new ability called Hunter's Mark. When it has max happiness, this Pokémon is able to change into its hunting form when facing any wild Pokémon or when at 50% HP or lower in any other kind of battle. With this, let me introduce you to Glassel, hunting form, the hunter Pokémon, also a pure fighting type. Once a Glassel finds its designed prey, it will enter this form and go into an unstoppable frenzy and chase the target down as fast as possible. Nothing can get in its way once the hunt truly begins. After inevitably catching its doomed prey, they will happily bring it back to their trainer. This Pokémon is used by both hunters and law enforcers within the region. As those who have been on the receiving end can tell you, there's nothing scarier than seeing a Glassel hunting, especially if you are the prey. And with that, we finally completed our trek throughout Route 1. So, what do you think of these new designs? Do you like them? Will one of them join you in your journey throughout Ivris? Or will you perhaps wait to see what else is in the store? Let me know down in the comments below. But now that we have left Route 1, I have something I want to ask to all of you. What would you like to see in the next video of the series? Maybe some regional forms or conversions? Or a video all about Italian folklore and myths, or perhaps even going into the history of the Roman Empire and the Pokémon inspired by it for this region. We could even do a video about the gimmick of Ivris next. All this is for you to decide, so let me know down in the comments. Although, the next time I see you, we're going to take a little break from Ivris and begin a new mini-series for this channel. Either way, thank you all for watching and ciao!